Hello everyone, or should I say bonjour. I'm Eve McDonnell and I'm the author of this book, The Chestnut Roaster, which is set in Paris in 1888. Now I wanted to tell you a little bit how I went about choosing the setting for that story, and it all began with one of these. Now it might look a little bit like my granny's tights, but it is in fact a leaf skeleton. Its coat of green, or maybe perhaps autumn brown, has entirely been stripped away. Now can you see its intricate golden veins? It looks super delicate, but in fact it's quite strong. And when I found it, I was captivated by the tiny little lines squirming around, and I wondered, was I looking at the skeleton of a leaf at all? Perhaps I was really looking at a map to a mysterious underground world. It made me think of a really special place that I call Paris's underground twin. It's an enormous maze of tunnels, and some are barely big enough to wiggle through. They're hidden deep below the bustling streets of Paris. Now, these underground quarries were the birthplace of the stone that's used to build many of the great buildings of Paris that we see today. Nearly 200 miles of these tunnels made their presence known throughout Parisian history. In the 1770s, for example, a deadly sinkhole opened up, and it was known as the mouth of hell, and it swallowed a whole row of houses. And a few years on, the hidden chambers were used as burial sites during the French Revolution. And later, during World War II, the French resistance fighters used the dark and deep tunnels as hideouts, while other chambers were converted into bunkers by German soldiers. Now, secret parties and concerts were held underground, explorers explored, and artists left their mark with wild and wonderful murals everywhere. Now, of course, they were never alone, because there was a ghost known to be there called Philibert Asper. He was a man said to have disappeared underground and is said to roam the darkest routes. You can visit one of the small sections today known as the Catacombs, and it has some very strange inhabitants indeed. It has the bones of 6 million people. At the end of the 18th century, you see, Paris's cemeteries were overflowing. The streets held an awful stench of corpses, and bones started to collapse into neighbouring buildings. So by cover of night, the bones were carried by horse and cart all the way to the catacombs, where the workers fashioned these impressive big displays out of the bones themselves. And these bones and this underground setting had to star in PF's story. So I created a map, and just like my leaf skeleton, it has squirming lines, shortcuts and dead ends. It also has 20 symbols, each representing a missing child that PF and her brother need to rescue. Can you see them? I loved creating a setting for the Chestnut Roaster. Now, if you made your own leaf skeleton map, what kind of world would you create? Would it be a world maybe of delicious sweets, or a world filled with volcanoes and earthquakes? Or would it be a fairyland or an underground world where dinosaurs and dragons live side by side? Would it be a sports world or a Minecraft world? My challenge to you is to take a piece of paper and draw a large leaf on it like this. Put in some symbols that would appear in your world, and then add in all the squirming lines that will link them all together, and see where your magical leaf skeleton map brings you. Happy world building, everyone. Bye bye.